And now I only have one good move, which is knight to b6, and I played the good move. Hi guys, and welcome back to my round 7 recap from the London Chess Classic. I'm really sorry about the background noise. There is commentary going on just below me for the elite section, so it's a very busy venue, not quiet, which is exactly actually what you want from a chess tournament, because quiet chess tournaments are not so fun. And I'm probably going to go watch the commentary after I film this recap, actually. So today I was playing another small child, which makes my third child of the tournament. And so I had the black pieces, and I saw that he played e4. And we actually got e4 this time. Now, I saw that he had played an e4 game against the French, obviously, because I play the French, in the knight c3 classical line. And usually I play bishop to b4, which is something I played earlier this tournament. And do you know what? I was getting bad vibes about the winner. After the last tournament, I had bad vibes about the winner, and then I spoke to my coach, and then my coach and I decided that actually it was probably fine if I didn't hang mate all the time. But also, I was just looking at all of the lines earlier this morning with the engine, and they all just looked terrifying, and I decided I didn't want to be terrified today. So I actually just played the normal-ish classical with knight f6. I saw that he had a game like this in this exact line earlier in the tournament that he lost to. So we had this exact prep and this exact position, and he played bishop e2, and apparently bishop e2 is like not that good, which is what one of my coaches said in my prep. Bishop e2 is like not the move, and apparently actually Stockfish wants something like knight e2 here, or queen e2, or you can even play like knight e2, I don't know, to play c3 I guess. But my opponent played what he played before, and we got basically the same position, and this time he played a4, and here I was looking at like taking, and I was looking at like this kind of situation, here or here, and I don't think you can take this. This looks kind of scary, but maybe you can. I don't know. I was kind of concerned about like a knight coming here at some point and then being forked, which actually does happen if I take the pawn or something. I don't know. Something bad happens. Maybe not. But basically, I should have just played knight takes here. And I don't really know why I didn't. It's not even a move I considered, but honestly, I wasn't very focused in the beginning of this game because I was pretty tired today. Even though yesterday was the rest day, we spent it exploring London and we were like out all day and we didn't sleep that much, so I was quite tired. And also, when you see kids at a chess tournament, like they come in a pack. They never come solo. And so I am like having his friends come up to the board and kind of like not whisper to each other whilst the game is going on. It's like, okay, I would really rather if you guys didn't do that, but because you're children, nobody minds. And it's just like distracting. It's distracting. I just like wasn't super focused in the opening. So I guess I didn't even like look at this. I don't know why. I only looked at pawn takes. I didn't look at knight takes. Guess because I'm silly Billy. I played b4. And here actually I think if I play queen c7, I'm totally fine. But I played queen a7, which I think was a mistake because after knight a4, knight takes. This is like what I had looked at, and then what I wanted to play was knight e4, but I thought this looked really scary because I can't take because the queen hangs, obviously. And if I go here, rook takes a6, looks very scary and very unpleasant. I don't want to have to play king d8 and have an unsafe king for the whole game. Now just knight to g5 looks scary. So I didn't get to play knight e4, which is kind of the only reason I went down this line, was because originally I was like, oh, I get a knight on d4 if he plays this move order. That must be so good. And then I saw it wasn't possible and I was like, oh my god. And I spent quite a while and I played knight back to d7, which is kind of a depressing move to play because as you can see, white is castled and has fully developed pieces and black does not. So that was a little bit uncomfy for me, and apparently f5 here is just terrifying for me to deal with, but my opponent didn't play that. And yeah, basically here apparently f5 is the move. That's also scary. Everything's scary in this position because I didn't play knight takes d4 in the middle. But okay, to my credit, I've played this opening twice. This is my second ever time playing the classical variation and not the winner with knight f6. So I am really making it up as I go along and learning as I go along. And these 2 games in classical chess in this line have been super instructive, and maybe I can actually play this line because it's much less terrifying than the winner. But anyway, my opponent took, and then I played knight d7. And my opponent just played bishop to d3, preparing f5 but without a sacrifice. And basically what he said was, if I played a random move, this is because we analyzed after, he was going to play knight g5. And if I play like this, he wanted to play queen here. If I play like this, then like this looks very scary. Now, I was never going to do any of this, but I let my opponent analyze this because they wanted to. Here I played queen c7, so I'm activating the queen, attacking the rook, and now at least I do have one active piece in my position. I really thought here rook a1 was probably just the best move for my opponent, and then I probably have to play bishop e7, and later on I can try play knight b6, knight c4. And that's kind of my best chance of getting active pieces. Maybe I could play for a5 and bishop a6. That was my long-term plan, knowing that it would probably take a very long time to achieve all of those things, and maybe I would get checkmated in the process. Instead, my opponent decided to play queen a1 and defend his rook, and this kind of felt off to me because I always feel like in these French games where they push f4, white should be trying to checkmate you as fast as possible. Like, that feels like the whole goal of white in these positions is just to checkmate black ASAP. So I really thought that bringing his heavy pieces over to the queen side was probably not the play. I played g6. G6 and bishop e7 are both good moves. The difference is that if g6, there is no immediate f5, and if bishop e7, there is. So I played g6, and if he wants to play g4 right now, he can, but he didn't. He decided to bring his queen and go for my pawn, basically. He played queen a4 so that he can bring the other rook to a1, and so that he can win a pawn. And I really just thought that this wasn't the right continuation, so when I saw that this was the plan he was going for, I was thrilled, because I really thought that all of these heavy pieces should be over on the king side, trying to checkmate my uncastled king, or my castled king in that case, because my king, it's actually not very safe once he's castled here, if the queen and the rooks and the knight, they're all coming. So I was like, okay, if you want to take the pawn, we can trade off the heavy pieces, and I won't be checkmated anytime soon. My opponent took, and this was just not correct, because I have no reason to take. Like, I don't have to take because they can never take, because then I win material. So this is actually a little self-pin. I can basically decide to trade when I want to. So of course I will castle and get safe first and unpin my knight. So now my knight can come to b6. I was actually getting kind of happier with my position. You can see that I'm down to 36 minutes and my opponent has not used any time whatsoever. A recurring theme with children is they don't use any time. But I was actually feeling pretty good about my position now. Much less scary about it. And I thought that if any of this ever happened, honestly, g takes, king h8 is probably not that bad for me. And like bringing the rook like this. So didn't look super scary. My opponent just decided to bring back the pieces. And now I only have one good move, which is knight to b6. And I played the good move. Well done, Luther. So knight b6 and then queen back. I thought that maybe like if the queen went somewhere, I could play knight c4. Because you can't take because of the pin. That's why my opponent played queen a2, because he also was thinking knight c4. And knight c4 was obviously the goal, but he didn't allow it here. But here I just thought trades, and I was very happy. And here apparently it's marginally better to take this pawn first than doing what I did and taking it now. But I mean, the difference is not super huge, and I was actually very happy to trade off all of the rooks. I was worried about continuations with queen takes c2, and here I thought queen a7, and he didn't play it. Here I thought queen a7. I thought this was the most challenging, and I had looked at this and I didn't think that this was like, I didn't think it was that scary, because I thought maybe I have knight f4. This looks kind of nice for me, except the problem is he gets a perpetual. So there's just, perpetual here. And I think if you don't take the perpetual, like if you try to do something else, I'm just going to checkmate you in one move, obviously. And is there anything else if you don't take the perpetual? No, there's nothing else, right? I think here, and you're just going to play like this, and you get the perpetual again, or you get mated. So there is really just a perpetual here for white, but we didn't get this position because he didn't play queen a7. I was kind of concerned about this idea of the perpetual. What else did I look at? I looked maybe at bishop here, queen b8, queen here, potentially. I thought that this was a playable position for me, like it's just an equal ending, you know? Yeah, but my opponent didn't find this move, and I really thought that this was the best move for them. So my opponent instead played knight to f1, which attacks the queen, gets a tempo on the queen, but then I get to get a tempo on my opponent's pieces, because now the knight and the bishop are both undefended. Bishop f2 is the only move to save them both here. And then knight to c4. And now my knight to c4 is really, really nice because there is no perpetual. There are no scary perpetuals here. Now I just have a very, very nice position. But my opponent didn't actually even go for this check. He just played b3. And I thought that b3 he really couldn't afford to play it because of knight d2. And I'm threatening checkmate here, which is would be a very fun checkmate if I got it on the board. Spoiler, I didn't. But now my opponent doesn't have a great position because, you know, he has to play extremely defensively to not get checkmated. Maybe knight f3 is best. My opponent played knight c2, and now I considered taking this pawn. And if I take this pawn, I wasn't sure what was the best continuation for white. I thought maybe they could just go for this. But then I thought maybe I can just go back here again and I'm threatening to push. But I thought even more concrete and better was just knight to e4. And the engine agrees with me because now this is a discovered attack on the knight with a double attack on the bishop. And there is just simply no way to save both pieces. My opponent gave a check, hoped that I played bishop f8 so that he could play bishop h4. I think I'm still winning here. I guess he wanted this, but he gets mated. So I think he said here he thought h3. I still have to be winning here. King h2, g5, king g7. King g7 is very nice because of knight takes. And there is no fear here after king g8. So anyway, I think that this was slightly worse, slightly more complicated. So I just played king g7. And now I don't have any pin on my bishop. And now bishop to h4 is not an option. So that's why I decided to play it. And now bishop to e1. I take the knight. We're up a piece. He attacks my bishop. But unfortunately, I can threaten checkmate and his bishop at the same time. So there is no point in taking because it will be mate. It was in this position that my opponent resigned. So I think basically the mistake was knight to e1. I really think that if he had played queen here, like he would have had a great position. I think it's nice that black has the activity here that I'm threatening b2 maybe at some points. And, you know, I think my opponent definitely let me get a lot of activity that he shouldn't have let me get. But I think he was just misguided in the way he approached the game out of the opening, because I think that putting all of these pieces on the queen side is just not where they belonged. When this king side, I have like no defenders over here. And so that's always what I'm afraid of in these positions, is my king side and the f file being opened. So I think maybe, you know, my opponent's still very young, but with more experience, he would probably crush me in that position if he got the chance to go again here after like not right here, but f5 ideas earlier in the game. And yes, so I won this game, and I realized I've not been telling you guys what my score is so far. So I'm actually on 3.5 out of 7, which means that I am on 50%. I didn't even realize that after this game that I'm on 50%, but yeah, so I have the chance to get 50% overall in the tournament, or more maybe if I continue, but we'll see. I have 2 more games and I should have the white pieces at least one more time, so that will be nice, and hopefully I can win at least one more game, preferably 2, but let's be realistic, at least 1 more. And I will see you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.